Hello, everybody, and welcome to Episode 2 of Wakeup Options, presented by Miami University Fighters Guild. All of our opinions here on this podcast are not a representation of the university or our organization as a whole. My name is Matt, and I am joined today by fellow officers of the organization, Joe and Benny. How you doing, guys?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well this fine morning.
I am doing outstandingly. Thank you for asking.
Oh, man. Benny's got a lot of energy today, and I love it. So, thanks to everybody who tuned in to the last podcast last week. We really appreciate it. Got a lot of positive feedback, and we're ready this week with a new set of topics and some more opinions, discussions, everything of the sort. Because Benny and Joe here are probably the most avid grassroots FGC supporters I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, thank you.
These guys are the creme de la creme of Skullgirls and all of its glory. They got me into the game, and the game is good.
So, it's very good. I remember when I first joined the club, Skullgirls is just my favorite fighting game, and I was like super surprised to know that there was actually someone else who plays Skullgirls, and I was delighted.
Oh yeah.
When I joined the club a year before that, Skullgirls is what made me stick around because, man, that art style just dragged me right out.
Yep. Grassroots FGC games like Skullgirls or ones that are coming out these days like Granblue Fantasy Versus, which I think will turn into more grassrooty, but it's super popular. But like Killer Instinct is my grassroots game. That's like, it was big when it came out, but now it's more grassrooty.
Right.
It's low on that. MVCI, despite all the negative connotations that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had, it still has a great following and people who play it a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, the gameplay is still pretty good in that game.
Oh, absolutely. I love Venom in that game, and I'm biased.
Valid.
But no, Skullgirls is a fantastic game. If there's anything you should take away from this podcast, it's to play that game. Big Band's a great character. I guarantee it.
Skullgirls for Evo, please.
But yeah, you guys said that Skullgirls is what kept you into this organization. But what do you think about people who are really struggling to keep those kind of games, like games that are smaller, that might not just be necessarily Skullgirls, but grassroots game in general is alive? What kind of stuff do you, like, if you had to give a person advice on how to keep a grassroots scene going, what would you think?
I would say, like, make sure you keep an avenue for players who are interested to actually get together and play together. Because it's important to actually feel like there are people willing to play with you. And, you know, I'm willing to bet that for most fighting games, there are people willing to actually play with you. It's just that you need to give them that avenue. Like, I remember one of the ways I got into Skullgirls was because I joined, like, a Discord server dedicated to Skullgirls.
That's right. Yeah, Discord server is really good.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Joe?
It's important to make it clear that you're having a lot of fun and that it's a game that anyone can play. They don't need to have been playing this for years. I know that Melee tends to have an issue with new entries.
Yeah. There's such a high skill ceiling in that game. And there are some in some of these other grassroots games.
Like Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Yeah. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's awesome to see that game is still thriving.
Yeah, no kidding. I was actually really into Marvel vs. Capcom 3 when I first got into the FGC after I, finished, messing around with Street Fighter 4. And that was one of the first games that I actually really enjoyed actually learning the characters for.
Oh, absolutely. Marvel vs. Capcom is going to have a renaissance, especially with the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and EVO. Which yeah. You can hear more about our opinions on that last week's podcast, but I'm super happy for the renaissance of that game. That game deserves so much more from Capcom in general, and they have the fans. It's really good. What about you, Joe? You played Marvel a little bit.
A tiny bit. It's nice that they have like various Capcom characters, like Monster Hunter people.
Oh, yes.
That's a lot of fun to see.
Well, that's mostly in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I wish they were in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Right.
That's kind of what I played, actually.
Sorry?
I haven't played 3.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay. I love Marvel and Marvel comics
Dude,
and stuff like
same here.
that. So I'm a very big fan. Venom's my favorite comic book character.
Dude, my team in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is just Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Dante.
Man, that's a great team. Not the best team. I always said if I was going to ever pick up Marvel 3, I would tier war it up and pick Virgil immediately. I love the character too much.
Oh, nice.
It's so much fun. It's nice to see how some of those games, like over time, like certain metas develop. Like for MVC3, it was definitely like the Virgil, Doctor Doom, and stuff like that. But as the game went further, there were some people like there was a person whose name I cannot recall who played a team of Hagar, Sentinel, and Hulk, who really reinvented some things of the game because he really found out how to make those characters work, which was super interesting. And I'll ask to you guys. You guys are super big. Like, once you find a fighting game you like, you stick to it, you play it over and over. What are the things that you look for?
First of all, diversity. I don't want to feel like every character is the same. I want to feel like when I'm playing a character, I actually have a whole new set of skills to learn. I want to feel like there is actual diversity in how I can play.
It's kind of what keeps me away from fighters. All the characters look very similar with their universal anti-air and their launcher and their teleport, and there's nothing that draws me to a particular character, so there's nothing that keeps me coming to the game.
Right.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, like I don't know how much like Dragon Ball the show series you've watched, but if like like you have plenty amount, and that's what really sells that game. You know, the IP, the character. The characters may be a little samey. I think they're going in better directions now with characters like Kefla coming out. Again, something we talked about previously, but like Kefla, Ultra Instinct Goku, Jiren was a really different character, even though he's not considered the best in the game. He was very different. Janemba, all those characters that started coming out as DLC started being a little more different. Though they still had some of the things that you talked about, universal anti-airs. All of them have the vanish attack, things of that nature.
Right.
But anyway, the talk of the town these days is what's going on with Capcom in Street Fighter V.
Goodness.
Street Fighter V Champion Edition's launch came with a new patch to its netcode, which implemented a fan-made mod that fixed an issue with the time synchronization of the kindly patchily made together rollback netcode that Street Fighter V had originally, but only worked for PC. So if it crossed over to PS4 games, then it wrecked the PS4 experience. It wrecked it. So Capcom had to fix it naturally. But the way they went about it was very vague and not good.
From what I hear, it seems like they didn't actually fix the netcode per se. They just sort of made it so the mod no longer has, much significance, which I appreciate, because there's no reason for PC players to have an unfair advantage over PS4 players.
Right, but at the same time, that PC mod did create a better experience for PC players because it fixed the time sync issues in the netcode, which they kind of corrected a little bit, but they didn't go the extra mile. They didn't go as far as that one did, which they might not be able to because some issues with the source code.
I mean, if a fan could do it, why can't Capcom?
Money and reputation, my friend.
Goodness.
It's not an ability to. They just don't want to change.
Yeah, they do not. I hope, because Capcom has been doing so good recently. Monster Hunter Iceborne from Monster Hunter World is a very good expansion to that game. Feels like a whole new game, right?
I haven't touched it myself personally, but from what I've seen, it looks outstanding.
Oh, yeah. And then Resident Evil 3 coming out. Devil May Cry 5 was a huge, huge deal. I love that game.
Monster Hunter Riders, though. That's not something to look forward to.
There you go.
But suffice it to say, what they're doing with Street Fighter might be a bit lackluster in comparison.
Right. They're fighting game division, especially with Street Fighter V now. They're getting better because they did release a patch many days later about what they actually did to change the netcode. But it was too little too late, right? The fighting game division just has a clear lack of communication.
Yeah, a little bit. And it makes me a bit upset when you see much better netcode with a bunch of other games.
Right. That's Skullgirls game, right?
Yeah, right?
Skullgirls Killer Instinct. Even a small indie game, Fight of Animals, has very properly introduced GGPO rollback netcode. It's just very good. What online experiences in fighting games? Tell me, you guys, like some of the best that you've had and some of the worst that you've had, if you play online at all.
Well, for me personally, the best I've had is basically just with Skullgirls. Remember, like I told you, I was in a Discord server dedicated to Skullgirls, right?
Right.
Obviously, the way we played together was online, and I never had any issue connecting. There was never any really bad lag or anything, and it was just an overall smooth experience. The worst, I think I did the Street Fighter V beta when that was that was easily the worst experience I had. I was in training mode for way too long. It was just
That's crazy.
not a good time overall.
I haven't done very much online play at all. Actually, the Skullgirls experience that I've had is not that good because my computer is just garbage. I can tell you a lot more about Dark Souls PvP than I can about fighting games.
Hey, that's fair. Netcode matters and not just fighting games.
Absolutely.
And it works in pretty much everything that's not fighting games at this current moment in time because people have already figured it out. They know the issue.
Right, but with fighting games, you need very, very precise inputs and things. It might be a bit more difficult to implement netcode for that.
If they do a delay-based netcode system in a shooter, it might not be as noticeable.
Right.
But moving on from netcode a little bit, there is a game coming out that I know both of you are excited for, and it is called Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Yes.
Either of you played the gacha game?
It looks gorgeous and no.
Good. Don't submit to that kind of philosophy.
Dude, I have 2 gacha games. I don't need another.
Dude, I have like 4 gacha games I play. I don't need another.
No, Granblue looks amazing. First of all, graphic design, 3D, that looks 2D, the same kind of art style that, well, it is made by ArcSys.
Right, it's like the same thing as like Fighters or like Guilty Gear.
Yes.
Which I really appreciate.
Oh yeah, it's very it looks like XR's graphics, but like instead of them being super smooth for the futuristic setting of Guilty Gear, it is more like it looks more sprite based, kind of like how Fighters is.
Yes.
To fit the style of Granblue, which is already a pretty nice looking game with some good artwork. It's the most popular gacha game in Japan. I'm not going to deny it what it has.
Right.
If a gacha game doesn't have good PNGs, it has nothing.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what you're collecting there.
Yeah. Also, if you want to look up what characters Matt plays in fighting games, look up an image of Vasaraga. That guy literally does everything for me. Personality, play style, we're working with it.
Dude, nice. I haven't looked into what character I want to play just because like they all seem interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't know. When I look at the gameplay, it seems like people are having fun no matter what character they're playing. I'm mostly excited just to get familiar with the new systems of Granblue Fantasy, just because it seems like a bit more of a grounded fighting game than other ArcSys games.
Right.
Just because, I don't see people in the air as often as in like Fighters or something. Mm-hmm. And that seems, very exciting to me.
Yes, I don't have enough information on me right now to say whether there's an air dash or not, but I know that there's like a run mechanic that you would expect in some anime games, and the jumps are a little floatier, so that could keep it more grounded. Every character in the game has a system that is very similar to Smash Brothers in terms that you can do a special move tied to one button. However, if you do the true command input, like a quarter circle, then you don't have a cooldown on that special move.
Dude, that reminds me of like Ryu in Smash Brothers, where you can theoretically, that's what you were saying, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like the button becomes stronger or something like that. I don't think it changes like it being stronger or anything in Granblue. It just makes sure that you don't have a cooldown. Unless you use a heavy special variant of it, which is like an EX enhanced version of the special move, which has some different properties and everything yet to be explored because we haven't played the game yet. I know you can get it from Hong Kong right now, but I'm not willing to go through the effort.
No kidding. Plus, it would take a bunch of time to get here. We may as well just order like the English version when it comes out.
What about you, Joe? What do you think?
So I heard that there are no combos in the game, but you can have a auto combo matched to light, medium, or heavy.
That is true.
So it makes for a very simple entry-level fighting game. Do you think that's about the summary of it? That's what I've heard.
Yes, Granblue is a very good entry-level fighting game for that reason. It's auto combos done right, is what I say. Games like KOF 14 and Granblue, and I'm not going to give Dragon Ball credit for that. Dragon Ball does not have a great auto combo system. It rewards it far too much.
Yeah, I think certain combos are possible with auto combos.
Yes.
But not in actual combos.
Right. There's a whole other discussion there. But Granblue definitely benefits from having some auto combo stuff because it works into the core neutral of the game and on block strings and a little bit of pressure. They're important, but they're not necessary, which is what I think the best implementation of auto combos is. I know that, God, I keep saying, that's crazy. But but Percival has a certain block string with his light auto that gives him, I think, a slight frame advantage. But I, again, don't have the game, so I wouldn't know. But Percival and other characters benefiting from the auto combo system definitely caters to some people just jumping into the game.
Yes, I agree. And I think auto combo systems, like at first when I was introduced to them, I wasn't a fan. Just because, I enjoyed Skullgirls, where you were forced to just...
Skullgirls is a very not auto combo
Yeah, exactly.
game.
You need to, lab your own combos in that game, and it's made very clear. The first time I ever ran into, auto combo was, Persona 4 Arena, which I didn't feel great about it then, and I tried to lab my own combos anywhere. But over time, I've actually grown more okay with auto combos in general, just because I realized that it's a thing we need to... keep new people coming into the FGC. Because a lot of people find that comboing is, a big barrier to entry. And, I think the auto combos is, a good maybe get your feet wet, just understand how a combo feels and looks, so that then you can start labbing your own combos.
I'd say that by implementing auto combos, they move the focus of the game to neutral. which is a great place to start because if you don't have neutral and you're distracted by the combos, you're never going to improve.
Yeah, for instance, I'll go back to Guilty Gear for a little bit. I did not know how Guilty Gear works. And that's, again, a very not auto-combo game. It has the Gatling system where you can just chain moves into each other, which is close but different. I learned Guilty Gear through neutral alone, or through playing people that I knew who were really good at the game, and me learning through those interactions, which is a big selling point. So games that are more focused on that at the start can be great. I think Mortal Kombat 11 was a great example of that because they really focused on neutral. However, they also gutted the creativity out in the depth of the game a little bit, which has caused a lot of people, including myself, to get a little dry with the game, which I think that's a big balance you got to find today. Because Guilty Gear Strive is, people are afraid because it might be going that route too, gutting the creative mechanics in order to cater to neutral only.
What do you think from what you've seen of Granblue compared to Mortal Kombat?
I think Granblue, at first, when I was looking at it, I thought it was going to be shallow as hell. I thought that game was never going to have any depth, and it was going to be focusing on auto combos and just the special input button. I'm very happy to say that I'm wrong. Like, Granblue has a lot of depth because it has a lot of those moves give to different neutral strategies in situations. For example, some special moves have armor properties. Some give frame advantage. There's very specific certain situations where characters will do a special move, and there's a different frame kind of comparison to different characters, like there are in a lot of other fighting games. I nearly said regular. It is a fighting game, but a good example: Gran in the game, if he does his EX Tatsu boot attack against Charlotta, he's plus on block, right?
Wait, specifically against Charlotta?
Yeah, this is a specific Charlotta matchup thing. If he goes against Charlotta and he has his EX boot, most characters cannot match him, but Charlotta is very fast character, right? So her slashing light attack can almost clash with his attack if he does a follow-up. Although if the heavy variant of the boot is used, he does have frame advantage. He's plus on block, so it's not beneficial to do that. But if he uses a slow move like a heavy attack or a medium attack, there's a chance that Charlotta can beat that out because she's super fast. And that's super interesting.
No, I've never heard of match-specific frame data like that.
Right.
That sounds...
Is that only because she's the fastest character in the game?
Yes, she's like a speed demon.
Oh, I'm maining her.
Yeah.
Hang on, I already called her.
Oh, damn it, Joe.
We can do dittos.
Dang it, I'm playing Vasaraga. This is going to be bad for me.
Just understand that's the only character we're playing.
Okay, fair enough. I'll switch around.
Charlotta has apparently been called E Honda from Street Fighter, but with a demon flip, like Akuma. So very mix-up-y and very unga-bunga-y of a character.
Those are both huge characters, but she's easily the shortest on the roster.
That is correct. That is correct. Vasaraga, super slow, has to install armor manually. Oh my gosh. Which I actually like that.
Oh, really?
I like the added thing to do, the strategy of it, because he has a move where he just walks at you slowly, dragging his scythe behind you.
That's kick-ass.
It's
oh my gosh.
really, really cool. I'll show you guys more after this, but yeah, we encourage people to go look up Granblue Fantasy Versus. Comes out March 3rd in the United States. Great characters, great game, very visually looking. Look up some gameplay. There's a lot of people right now who already have it.
Right. I was looking up gameplay, and I'm seeing it looks almost as good as Fighters does. When you look at Fighters, it's just one of the most exciting games to watch, period.
Right. And like I said, I was not a huge advocate of the game until I saw more footage of it. However, this does not mean it's a perfect game.
Of course.
There's a character right now called Lewayne that's making waves with it because of his very online-focused tactics, is what I'll call it.
Oh,
What does that mean?
Oh, man, he has his regular super Skybound art is him getting piggyback ride from his two companions, but he has armor on all the moves he does during that. So even if you touch him, he just
Wait, infinite armor?
Yeah, he's completely armored for the time limit of that.
Oh, gosh.
But that's not even the worst part. The biggest issue right now is the super Skybound art. When characters are 30% or below on health and have full super meter, they can do a enhanced super. And his is to summon a large goddess character, which you cannot damage Lewayne during the course of that happening. and she has moves that do like 20% chip damage, unblockable lows, just a peripheral like.
I'm sorry, did you say 20% chip damage?
Yes.
What happens if they don't block?
I don't even want to think about it.
So how is this online focused?
Because theoretically, those moves are slow, and you can react to them in an offline setting. But online, when there's a game, since Granblue unfortunately uses delay-based netcode,
I see.
your frames are super delayed and you can't react in time, and you have to have really tight stuff.
Is this something that like players are noticing that are playing the game now, or is this something we just seen from the trailers? Or
Playing the game now?
Playing the game?
Yeah,
Okay.
Playing the game now.
That is horrifying.
Yep. Every character in the game has a spot dodge and a dash forward, like how KOF 14 has the invincible roll. They have like kind of an invincible dash forward and an invincible spot dodge, which is how you counter that. That's how you counter that super. However, you can't really input that expecting it to come out immediately, especially when it's like fast.
Right.
And you mistime it, you come out of it, and you get hit.
Especially online.
Especially online.
That's sad though. I don't like how when fighting games have like a sort of different experience online. That's why, in my opinion, the ideal way to play fighting games is just, in a chair next to your friend.
Support your locals.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate, stuff like Fighters Guild, where I'm actually just able to come there and just play video games with friends.
I'll never oversell it enough. Support your locals, people.
There's nothing quite like being in person with your opponent because like you can shake hands after the match, you can have fun during the match.
Shake hands, man. That makes it.
If you don't see your opponent during the entire thing and you're just looking at a screen, you're kind of just fighting a CPU and you can get mad at nothing, and that's not a way to live.
Yeah, it's not healthy. Not healthy at all. I always love playing online, especially with people who... I like playing online to the degree of... I love online ranking systems. Like, that's just a me thing. I love being able to, like, increase my rank. I think I got that when I was playing Killer Instinct and I grinded to, like, the second highest rank.
Oh, boy.
And that was... I was very happy to, like, get those ranks, but it made me super mad, anxious, frustrated. And when I started playing locally, I never played online again. Like,
No, it's absolutely... Because it's more personal. It's more about, playing with people than actually,
Yeah.
It's so social.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have that opportunity, or they don't know where their locals are. And so they can only play online.
That was me before I came to college.
Right. Right. They only could play online. And sometimes, you play online with somebody that you know.
Right. That's, again, with my Skullgirls Discord server. That's my online experience.
Right. Of course. But at the same time, like, that's not all-inclusive.
Right.
So it's very important then for games for people who are only able to play, like, online ranked or online player matches, for the netcode and online experience to be good.
Yeah. And which is, why I'm glad people can still play Street Fighter as long as it's actually in person.
Yeah, I give so much credit to people who still stick with Street Fighter V at this point. Who
Right.
stuck with it through the bad, even now getting to the good. I have respect for that. That's dedication. That's loyalty, which is kind of what we touched on at the beginning.
No kidding. Speaking of loyalty, Third Strike.
Oh, yes!
That is easily my favorite Street Fighter game, and I'm just so happy that the community is still keeping that game alive.
Yes, please. Third Strike is definitely one of the best Street Fighter games. I don't know if it's the best because I'm not super ingrained in Street Fighter. I love it. I play it, but I'm not like traditional. I didn't grow up in the arcades.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I've played, Street Fighter 2 here and there, but it seems more like, I don't know, just have fun with your friend's game than actually getting into the systems and doing things.
Absolutely. I'm sure at top level, like learning to parry certain attacks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you really get into Street Fighter 2, you can get into some really nice stuff.
Right.
But, like, with Street Fighter Third Strike, it seems like the systems are a lot more accessible. Parrying is super satisfying. It's just a wonderful experience to me.
And it looks by far the best in the series. The pixels just kind of can't be replaced by what they've done. Arc Systems found a good way to mimic 2D, but the newer Street Fighter games don't really look like that.
Right. I think Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Third Strike, and KOF 13 have the best sprite work. Period.
I haven't actually seen KOF 13. I need to.
Oh, man. We're talking about grassroots games. KOF 13 has a huge grassroots scene.
Really?
Because KOF 14 came out, and people did not like the 3D graphics of it. It was the first time King of Fighters went into 3D, and so people were unhappy about it. The gameplay mechanics were dumbed down, but still complex enough to make it a KOF game. But compared to KOF 13, that system was extremely complicated. The trial mode in that game is still one of the hardest to do. If anybody can go grab King of Fighters 13, it's like $10. Try do a trial mode in that game. It is super complicated.
Goodness.
They had a system where they could cancel special moves into other special moves for a little bit of bar, so it just allowed for combos to be all over the place.
Oh my gosh. And people still play KOF 13?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Even though it
that's
has one of the worst onlines ever.
Fair enough.
If you meet in person, it completely subverts that difficulty.
Absolutely. King of Fighters 13 is a great fighting game. It's one of the best King of Fighters out there. I honestly put it on par. Like, it's equal. KOF 14, you got to understand. I have some bias towards that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was my first King of Fighters game. It got me into the series. It really got me into the lore of the characters and the lore of the series in general. And then I bought like some of the old Fatal Fury games and got into those, and that was crazy. I loved that. Then I got King of Fighters 13 a lot later down the road, and it is without a doubt the best sprite artwork in any fighting game.
Damn, really?
You look at it, you look at Kim Kapwan's pants for 2 minutes, and you just know.
Is it like Ken's pants in Third Strike? Where
His idle animation is him constantly bouncing, and the pants are waving and moving along with him with different shading. That's crazy.
No, that's good. That's really good. Personally, my favorite sprite work in a fighting game is still Skullgirls.
Yeah.
Just because there are an inexorbitant amount of like frames in each animation.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous. I think it actually won a world record.
Right. No, Skullgirls is a visually impressive game.
No kidding. I think that's like one of the reasons me and Joe were actually, gravitating to it.
Definitely. I just kind of wish that you could go back to the beta release version. the partially drawn frames, the sketches.
Oh, that's fun.
That'll be DLC in Skullgirls too. It'll be great.
Don't they have
so long just to make the sprites that those were released when they were testing gameplay.
Right. Do they have Easter eggs to that in their training room? Because I know there's like a chalkboard in the background or something like that.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I really wouldn't be surprised.
There's so much love that goes into those kind of
No
games.
kidding. And there's still Easter eggs in like Skullgirls. Like I remember one of Beowulf's animations is him like cutting a hole in reality with his chair, and then all of a sudden the head animator like notices and just covers up the hole.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I know that speaking of like cameos and references and other fighting games towards like themselves or each other, in KOF 13, you can see Halmaru sitting in the background. How he lived from medieval times to the point of modern King of Fighters 13, I don't know. But I don't.
It's better if it's not explained,
Let's talk. That's actually you two play Samurai Showdown, as do I. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sounds good.
Samurai Showdown. It may not be as visually like super impressive as the games we just talked about.
Well, I mean, graphics wise, I agree, but I think presentation wise, it really does. It has a theme. It has like it's very Japan.
It is very, very Japan.
And, that's something that I personally really like. So even if, the graphical fidelity isn't as much as like, I don't know, something like Marvel vs. Capcom, 3, where there's like very distinct style to it. I don't know. The motif of it really does sell it for me.
Right. I always compared the graphics in that game to Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Yes, you're right.
Very, very similar. Very similar.
Samurai Showdown knows exactly what it's trying to be, and it owns that look completely with the stylish, I don't know, finisher moves. What do you call those?
Yeah, the super special moves, I think is what they call it. They kept the name simple.
That's very simple.
No, I appreciate it because at core, like Samurai Shodown is a kind of simple game where it's mostly about neutral. You don't have a lot of combos to block your way into the game. I think me and Joe were able to pick up the game very quickly because of that.
All you need is the special inputs, and then neutral dictates everything else. And it feels great to play. All the hits are so meaty.
No kidding. Landing a heavy slash, man, it's good.
That is a good experience in that game. I love, like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how neutral can be really good when you're just feeling out a game, especially when it's not a complex game like that. That's like the best way to implement that. Like you said, heavy slash, but then do you know like this secret stuff? If you land a heavy slash, you can immediately cancel it into like a weapon deflect and stuff like that. Wait,
really?
Yes.
Oh my.
It's like a bait. It's like you deflected a heavy slash, so they're going to go for a heavy slash. You weapon deflect, you knock their weapon right out of their hands.
Oh, so there's time for... Is that when they shield your heavy?
Right. When they block your heavy and you bounce off and you're in this recovery animation, you would think. You can cancel it into a special move, which weapon deflect is technically a special move.
I need to do that more then.
Yes.
Any special move?
Any special move.
So I could like charge after getting blocked.
Correct.
Wow.
It's very cool.
Exciting.
There's new tech to being discovered. Well, that's not necessarily new, but hell, it's a good...
It's new for us.
It's new for you. That's always good.
Bird Girl has a special move where she jumps up to be like clinging to her bird.
For
So
reference,
you
he's
could get
talking about
blocked.
Nakaruru.
That's the one. So you could theoretically get blocked and then immediately retreat.
That's true.
And be
That's
completely safe.
Oh, dude,
very
we need
good.
to try that. We need to experiment this next time we play.
See, this is why fighting games are so great. There's always this little tidbit of tech that you don't know about, even with a game you've been playing for a super long time. I'll know for me, Killer Instinct. I learned that with Fulgore, I thought I knew the character. I've been playing him for 4 years, but I figured out from watching somebody stream that I could, instead of going for like a mix-up teleport behind someone, I could basically teleport in place in order to like drop a combo intentionally or to make them like react and then be right next to them and continue pressure.
Dude, that's what I do sometimes with Valentine. I just drop my combo and then just grab them. It's great.
That's so cruel.
Resets are good. Resets are fun.
If you listen carefully to Vinny's controller, you can hear when he stops pressing buttons and be ready for the grab.
See, that's the downside of playing local. People can hear your controller.
Speaking of controllers, let's talk a little bit about some controllers that are out nowadays. Okay, I'm going to ask the obvious question. Pad or stick?
If you asked me before I came to college, I would have definitely said stick. I spent like $200 on my Mad Catz TE2, and that was one of the worst decisions I've ever made. Just because I figured, all the buttons are there, everything's easy to get to. I don't need to worry about going around my controller to get to the heavy buttons. Mm-hmm. But ever since coming to Fighters Guild and seeing everyone be on pad, I decided I'll give this a shot. And then all of a sudden, it's just so much more comfy. At least for me. And I think it's a matter of preference. Because, you see Steve coming around with his fight stick all the time. And I'm sure he's happy with that. But, I don't know. Nowadays, I'm into pad. However, I will say, I do want to try, what are those things called? It's like the fight sticks with the keys. Mm-hmm. They have a special name.
The hitbox.
The hitbox, yes, that.
Hitboxes are really nice because they have, instead of the movement, they have like keys for movement.
Yes.
It's regular arcade stick buttons.
So like a D-pad?
Yeah, a D-pad on a regular controller or an arcade stick.
More specifically, it's like a WASD pad.
Oh, so it looks like a computer keyboard.
It looks like a computer keyboard on the left, but then on the right you have arcade sticks buttons.
Yeah.
Okay, so no stick on there at all.
No stick on there at all.
No stick.
I'm sure that'd be a lot better for some people.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of people who play like on PC and they like the keyboard aspect of it.
Yeah, I tried that. I was like playing with WASD on the left, and then like I used like the numpad for my actual attacks. That's how I played for a bit. It was pretty good.
Right. I have tried to play King of Fighters 13 a little bit like that, but I can't find the attack buttons on my keyboard. So I just plug in a controller and I keep it that way.
No, I gotcha.
I am a little bit of an oddity because I play on analog stick on controller, which is, to a lot of people, would be like, oh man, this guy's a scrub.
No, I personally play on D-pad, but I know that like Joe is better than me in Skullgirls, and he plays on analog stick, so...
It is just significantly more comfortable for my thumb to be able to slide around the inputs.
No, I get that. I just...
That's great.
I believe you. It's just for me, I think I like having that very precise movement of I know
Right.
exactly what is being pressed at what time.
Exactly. I think in NRS games it really hurts me to play on analog because if I played on pad, I'd have the back forward motions a lot more precise.
Right.
But I've been playing NRS games since I was like 8.
Oh,
with
wow.
MK Trilogy on the Xbox 360. But so like I am used to the controller life. And I'll stick to the analog stick as far as I play fighting games because
Right.
I don't feel really comfortable with anything else. I've tried stick, I've tried pad, I have not tried hitbox. I have not tried hitbox or anything like that.
Dude, we need to get a hitbox.
There is a thing called the cross-up. It is a PlayStation 4 controller that is significantly different. It has way more precision inputs. I don't know the exact specifics.
Well, does it have a stick?
Yes, I believe it has an analog stick. People feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it still has a stick. It's just got their pad is way more precise with inputs. Way more than any regular PS4.
How so?
It's almost like a customized PS4. You replace the D-pad on a normal DualShock 4. And you replace it with something where instead of like when you press one button on a regular DualShock, the other one goes down just a little bit, which can mess things up. In this one, it's just each button is like independent of each other.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've seen controllers like that. That's
Is it like a
interesting.
Switch then?
Like when you press down on a regular DualShock 4, it's all underneath the surface. It's all in the same like kind of circle.
Right, no, he's saying like if it's like the Switch where like the D-pad on the Joy-Cons are
Oh
completely
yes,
independent.
right. Very similar to that. My apologies. Speaking of which, either of you play any fighting games or have played any fighting games on the Switch?
We played Skullgirls on the Switch, and I think Joe can tell you how that was.
Okay. The released version of Skullgirls should not speak for the Switch as a whole because it was definitely the software that was the issue during that. It was full of glitches and basically unplayable, even though I loved the game.
That's fair.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that they probably patched it by now.
Oh, they definitely had. It was so much better just 1 week later. I still haven't gone back to it because why would I play it there when I can play it on the PS4?
Right.
I'll tell you why, because you get that awesome squiggly animation on the Switch version.
There was a unique animation for my main. I really want to see it more, but it's only on the Switch for some reason, and I cannot tell you why.
Oh my goodness.
But
I've played BlazBlue Cross Tag and Mortal Kombat 11. I think are the only 2 fighting games I really played on the Switch besides Pokemon DX, but I'm not going to count that one because that was a Switch / Wii U prior to it exclusive.
Right.
I felt that the Switch was good for what it is, and I liked it when I was playing Ultra Street Fighter 2 port prior to when 30th Anniversary came out on the Switch. That was a great pick up and go game. But the thumb pad on some of those controllers, even though I would have to have a Pro controller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically just having a regular DualShock or Xbox controller. But if I had to play on the actual Switch itself, on the Joy-Cons, even if attached to the screen or one of their controller setups that they have, the thumbstick is too small. I have big hands. It's not going to work.
It's definitely not ideal. And I remember one of the big reasons I was actually attracted to the Switch was because I thought, oh man, this would be a great way to play fighting games with other people on the go or something.
Right.
I could just hand them a Joy-Con and we can play. And that's why I was actually really interested in that. There was this one really interesting fighting game with a bunch of tiny characters, something Rumble. I don't know.
Feel free to tell us. I don't know what he's talking
about.
about.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a game I was interested in playing, if nothing else, just because it would be a game to play with friends on the Switch. Mm-hmm. But then I realized the Switch controller is not ideal. I mean, just half a Joy-Con is not ideal for fighting games.
Of course.
Even the whole Joy-Cons put together just feels wrong.
Right.
There's something about it.
Just something small.
Maybe it's the positioning of the stick.
Right. It could be. The stick is very high up and you have to move your thumb very high up.
Well, I mean, it depends on which half you're using. Too.
Right, honestly. It's a very complicated thing. Mm-hmm. But let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Joe, you mentioned Squiggly having a unique animation on the Switch version.
That's right.
This kind of brings me into a topic that I've wanted to talk about a while. Characters. Mm-hmm. Characters sell fighting games. That is 100% certain. Mm-hmm. What are some of the characters that you guys have done outside of Skullgirls that have really attracted you to fighting games that you otherwise would not normally play?
Okay, so in Under Night, I wasn't too keen on the game. The designs were pretty nice, but I had no entry point. At one point, I was kind of forced into playing it just for a little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. This isn't the end of the story. This is not a negative experience.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so just looking at the roster, I found a character that kind of spoke to me. And playing that character, they were also really fun to play as too. And I can't get enough of the game anymore because that character is just so much fun.
And that character is?
That character is Mika, who shouts her own name. It's hard to forget that name.
There you go.
It's so wonderful.
I know for me, for that same game, I'll stick it to that. I ordinarily would not play Under Night. I play anime games, but not nearly as extensively. I look at BlazBlue Central Fiction, and I do not have much interest in it, other than a couple select characters, and even then, it's I'm not willing to put in the time or effort. Under Night, I decided to put in the time or effort because of the character Enkidu.
Oh, love Enkidu.
Enkidu he's not anymore. Uniclear has changed that, but we'll get into that. Enkidu was the worst character in Under Night in birth. It was not even contested. He was so bad that he was in his own tier. And that's because there were so many characters who had long-range specials / attacks or neutral, blah, 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 that just invalidated him. He was minus on everything. All of his moves relied on frame traps and mix-ups involving his Havoc mechanic.
Right.
But I loved the character because of his aesthetic, voice, supers, personality.
Personally, I actually really like Enkidu, if nothing else, just because he's based on Enkidu from, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Right.
I think that's kick-ass.
Yep. He also had parries, which is, for me, a selling point for a character.
Yeah, you play Big Band.
Yeah, I play Big Band. He has parries.
No, I'm with you. Personally, at first when I saw Under Night, I was really attracted to the character Chaos.
Ooh,
just
nice.
Because, for some reason, I just love characters with glasses. Mm-hmm. So I just picked Chaos, and I actually really enjoyed his, puppet mechanic with his little dinosaur friend or whatever it is.
Right.
But then I saw Phonon, And I saw
That freaking whip.
I saw people like throwing around that whip like it was just it looked really fun because you just didn't have to worry about range and more specifically the sound it made.
Yes.
The sound really attracted me. And so I actually picked it up and it was just as fun as I thought it would be.
Right.
And now I basically just play Phonon, sometimes Chaos.
Right. I think once I started playing the game more, I also got that kind of impression from characters like Aurier.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing Aurier a little bit because she had a stand, and I am a huge fan of that sort of aesthetic. And I liked it, and it was good. But, like, back to the point, characters make fighting games.
Indeed.
100%. I love playing characters. Me specifically, I like playing more sinister-looking characters that maybe are a little larger than others.
That's valid.
Again, check Vasaraga. That's basically all you need to know. But I love characters that have a lot, like a dominating personality.
Okay.
Ones that are really like strong. Just like they give off an energy like that. Geese Howard, Akuma. Those are all characters.
How do you feel about
Merc?
Merkava in Undernight?
Merkava is really cool. And if another person I didn't know who will be on a podcast later didn't play him, I would play him.
Okay, good.
Bordeaux is also really cool in that game. Just sticking to Undernight. But let's talk about Undernight a little bit more. Uniclear just came out very recently.
I know, like I saw like in Recon, we have like the update for Eunice came out.
Right.
And I saw that there was like a character locked.
Right. There is a new character. For the record, for all you don't know, Recon is the recreation and entertainment convention that happens at Miami University around this time every year. Feel free to look it up for next year. It's ending today.
So that's what it stands for.
I'll be honest, I didn't know either.
But Joe, how do you feel about Uniclear?
I'm looking forward to more from the series. If they don't change too much about the mechanics, it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. As long as Mika gets to keep her gimmick of I can go anywhere on the screen whenever I want.
Yeah, he really likes the mobility aspect. It's what I noticed.
Mobility characters is a Joe thing. That's good. That's good. I really like Uniclear coming out because although they haven't announced whether it's going to be on PC or not.
Dude, I hope it is.
I hope it is. I know Samurai Showdown is the other game that's coming to PC.
It needs to go to PC very soon.
They're working on it.
I can only play it at Fighters Guild, and I want to play it, at home because I love Rimururu, and I want to learn her.
There you go.
Speaking of characters making fighting games.
There you go. There you go. I like how Uniclear is changing. Like, first of all, it's a balance patch. Mm-hmm. It's got a new character whose name I do not know off the top of my head, but I know he wields.
I know he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I love it. I love how fighting games are getting a lot more spotlighted and how the Undernight scene, if we're going to talk about grassroots and go full circle on this conversation,
right?
They were so good at encouraging their community that they got into Evo.
No kidding. That's such a great win for grassroots fighting games.
It really is.
I mean, and it makes me all the more happy because, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is now on Evo. And it's just like, I don't know.
Right.
My heart is melting.
Mm-hmm. Bring in the games that matter instead of these old-timers that really should just
You got to focus on the communities. Like, those are the things that make the games great. And the Eunice community has been advocating for years. And they have kept numbers, which is the things that, like, the bigger Evo people notice. And they noticed it, and they added them, and their tournament last year was amazing. And now I like watching Eunice tournaments.
Right? It's so great. I mean, I just love Eunice just because, the Vorpal system is outstanding.
Oh, yeah, the Vorpal system, the mechanics, grid. Look it up, guys. There's a lot of depth in that game, and it's really fun. Mm-hmm. There are characters like Yuzuriha. Every character does super unique stuff. No character is limited in any fashion.
Which, again, goes back to my, idea of I like characters to be varied.
Yep, characters extremely varied. Everyone on the roster feels powerful in their own way. That's the way to make fighting games. That's how you keep your community involved, etc., etc. But yeah, let's do one more point here to finish up. Eunice and Evo, right?
Right.
What is another grassroots game other than Skullgirls?
Damn it!
Other than Skullgirls that you would love to see either A, stay at Evo if it already has a spot, or B, gain an Evo spot in the upcoming years. Since Marvel 2 proved that games from a while ago, and Undernight proving that grassroots can stay in, and older games can make it. Mm-hmm. If you had a retro title or a grassroots title that could be in, other than Skullgirls, what would it be?
All right. Well, I think it's cheating to say Undernight because it's already there.
Right.
But Undernight. But if I were to pick a new fighting game, definitely Zatch. No, not Zatch Bell. For reference, this is a game I brought in as a joke for me and Joe to play.
That game
It
should
was
burn.
it was bad, man.
Zatch Bell Mamoto Battles. Look it up.
was-
It's a great, terrible game.
It's a great, terrible
I
game.
just cannot believe how awful neutral is.
Yeah, it's like you literally just mash the block button and you parry everything.
Joe, what do you think?
So you banned the games that, the game that I played the most, and Vinny already mentioned Under Night.
It can be a game that's already there that you want to stay there.
Let's go Under Night. My ideal Evo is just Skullgirls.
Skullgirls and
Skullgirls
Under
Under
Night.
Night. The only 2 tournaments. You
There
only
you
need
go.
those.
I don't care much about many other
Right.
games.
I won't say Killer Instinct because that's cheating for me.
Because you already have the combo breaker.
Right, I'm Combo Breaker. Killer Instinct's always going to be mid-lane title.
Right. And Skullgirls is also a combo breaker.
Right,
So,
it is.
and I should be happy about that.
If I wanted to bring in one other game that's like that, I would probably either A, bring back Guilty Gear Xrd 2.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, because there's even when Strive comes out, there will still be a dedicated fan base to that game because the mechanics are so much different.
Right.
And after watching Frosty Faustings, I like watching Guilty Gear XR tournaments. Those are really fun.
No, I'm happy. I would also like to see like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 have
Right. Yeah, I would love to see that return. Well, anyway, guys, we're out of time with this episode of Wake Up Options, but thank you all for listening. And again, this is presented by Miami University's Fighters Guild. The opinions here are not affiliated with the organization or the university as a whole. And we thank you so much. My name is Matt. I have Joe and Benny here today. And thanks again.
Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you. Please come back later.
Yep. Please subscribe. Talk to you later.